fan art real quick, and then I think we need to talk about the fact that I'm a terrorist. And I'm not even kidding. According to the President of the United States, based on the words that I have said over the time on my channel, I am a terrorist. So the first question that I would have to all of you, if you've been watching my channel for long enough, I just want to know, would you consider me, Suris, a person who is anti-Christian? I would not consider myself anti-Christian, but have I said anti-Christian things? And has that been a pretty major backbone of things like my channel? Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, 110%. That has been a backbone of my channel for years. There's certainly a lot of sentiment on this channel that can be considered anti-Christian. And unfortunately, the President of the United States, the United States, the President of the United States has said that anybody who is anti-capitalist, which I am, anti-Christian, which many people could argue I am, and anti-American, which is a very vague statement with no actual qualifications, if you happen to be those things, you are considered to be, at least in some form or fashion, a domestic terrorist. Now, this is news to me, this is spooky to me, but I'm not pulling this out of my ass. I'm reading this directly from the White House. There are common recurrent motivations and indicia uniting this pattern of violent terroristic activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. These movements portray foundational American principles like support for law enforcement and border control. I don't know if I'd call those foundational. We did a lot of expanding our borders over the years, and also law enforcement. I'm pretty certain that the law enforcement of the British was something that we desperately fought against. But anyway, we label these things as fascist to justify and encourage acts of violent revolution. This anti-fascist lie has become the organizing rallying cry by domestic terrorists to wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. You know, things that Donald Trump has actively been stamping out himself. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender. Oh, interesting. What does extremism on race and gender look like? Because I would call white nationalism extremism on race, and I would definitely say extremism on gender is anything trying to force us into gender norms that people do not want to follow, but sure. And then hostility towards those who hold traditional American views, you know, something that's fucking changed every 50 years, on family, religion, and morality. Again, something that's fucking changed every 50 years. Traditionally, where does the tradition fucking start? We have like 250 years of America existing. Where the fuck are our actual traditions? We don't have enough of a history to establish those in the first fucking place. Anyway, as described in the order of September 22nd, 2025, hold on, designating Antifa, something that I am anti-fascism, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. The groups and entities that perpetuate this extremism have created a movement that embraces and elevates violence to achieve policy outcomes, including justifying additional assassinations. For example, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassination engraved the bullets used in the murder with so-called anti-fascist rhetoric. You mean the fucking memes? You mean the memes about helldivers? This is so stupidly out of touch with how the internet operates. And yet, it is an executive order. But sirs, don't you know that Jesus founded America 2,025 years ago? And America was the first and only country? Notices your bulge, classic Antifa rhetoric. Yep. Classic Antifa rhetoric. Notices your bulge. I'm going to say that just out in the open, just randomly. I'm just going to say notices your bulgy wulgies. So just so you guys know, this is not from a news organization. I didn't want to grab this from a news org that was covering it. This is from the White House itself. Countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. According to the White House, I am a domestic terrorist. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution, blah, 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 I direct the following. Domestic terrorism and organized political violence, heinous assassinations, and other acts of political violence in the United States have dramatically increased in recent years. Yeah, that happened to left-wing people too, but you don't see him ever fucking talking about that, like Melissa Hortman. Even in the aftermath of the horrifying assassination of Charlie Kirk, some individuals who adhere to the alleged shooter's ideology, what's the ideology of the shooters? What's the ideology of the shooter? Because I don't think you can actually say what it is. We haven't had a fucking trial yet. How are you going to even say what the ideology is when we've not done even the fucking rudimentary discovery process fully yet? We've done nothing, legally speaking, in regards to that yet. And yet, the President of the United States is willing to use this as the benchmark for him to put out an executive order that says that anybody who's anti-Christian in any way, shape, or form, anybody who's anti-capitalist in any way, shape, or form, and anybody who adheres to extreme gender ideology, whatever the fuck that is, I guess it's just supporting trans people, those people are terrorists. Those people are considered terrorists. Now, there's a lot more in the EO. There is a lot more here. But I just want to ask you guys a question. Truly and honestly. And I'm not talking about my audience. I'm not talking about my audience. Because my audience, I know where they're going to lean on this. I want to ask you if you're right-wing. That's who I want to ask. I want to ask, if you are right-wing, is this what you voted for? Is this what you wanted? Is this something that you personally wanted to sign off on? Did you want to sign off on a president who was willing to label constitutional examples of freedom of speech, as in how we feel about religion, how we feel about economics, how we feel about societal norms? Did you vote? And are you proud to have voted for a man who looked at constitutional freedom of speech examples and said, nah, terrorism? Tal says, absolutely, they did. See, here's the thing. I have more faith in human beings than that. I have no faith in pundits or people who are elected officials, but I have more faith in everyday Americans than that. This presidential memorandum directs federal agencies to adopt a comprehensive strategy against domestic terrorism and organized political violence. It cites a rise in assassinations and assassination attempts and riots and attacks on law enforcement, but it's using examples of literally just supported speech, basic-ass supported speech, in order to argue that agencies like the DOJ, the Treasury, the IRS, should be prosecuting people who adhere to these ideologies to the fullest extent of the law. He wants to use this to trace and disrupt the flow of finances to these people. So this is a direct call to agencies like the IRS, like the DOJ, to find a way to cut off my funding, to find a way to cut off funding for Genetically Modified Skeptic, for Telltale, for Godless Engineer, for all of us who are atheistic and have quote-quote extreme views on gender and economics. All of us are considered targets by this. He also wants to disrupt tax-exempt status from any entities with this. So if you're a charity who also just happens to be anti-capitalist, you're considered somebody who funds extremist activity. So let's gut that. This memorandum also authorizes the Attorney General to recommend designating groups as domestic terrorist organizations, carte blanche, and that once people are designated that way, they should be treated as a national security priority for law enforcement to coordinate against. It frames basic-ass freedom of speech, as political violence, which is organized and is an ideological threat to our republic, and that our republic needs to maintain an aggressive stance against in order to prevent. It's insane to me that we live in this timeline. So now I want to know, if you're watching this, if this is part of the timeline you're a part of, what's going on? What's your plan? Because while this doesn't grant any extra power to the president, this does not give him the ability to do anything other than what he's already done. This is a threat. This is posturing. This is an attempt to argue that you, as an American citizen, deserve fewer rights on the back of the president's whims. So what the hell do you plan on doing about it? Because you should not be sitting back just letting this fucking happen. You should be getting onto 5 calls right now. I'm dead serious. You should be getting onto 5 calls right now if you are watching this video on YouTube and telling your congresspeople, Republican or Democrat, that you are not okay with this and they should be fighting on your behalf because your freedom of speech is important. And what's that phrase that's always written on random right-wing shirts? Here, I'll go ahead and pull it up. I will go ahead and pull up that shirt that I see everywhere, always, especially in the South. This is not a call to action in any way, shape, or form. This is me simply saying there is a group of people who celebrate this shit right here who are fucking liars, because not one of you have actually done this, despite wearing this shit out and proud in Georgia. All of you, I protect my First Amendments with my Second Amendments. No, the fuck you don't. You're a coward that enjoys posturing behind a gun. You don't actually like getting your hands dirty. And I understand. I don't like getting my hands dirty either. I just think only a pussy pretends that they're different. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Curatorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it. Just a little bit.